Here we go. Wednesday, and by all indications, we should be live. I hope everyone is keeping well. Thank you so much for tuning in once again. Let me know in the chat if everything is good with the volume, if you can hear me fine, if you can see me fine. That'd be very good to know. While you're doing that, I'm going to get myself sorted out. I don't remember the hotkeys that I've set up for everything. How do I switch scenes? I don't remember what my hotkeys are. While I figure those out, we're going to be quickly assembling, very quick stream today, assembling some of the city wall sections for City of Ilaria. If you've been following along, is it 1? Is it number 7? Probably figure out. Background music is quite loud. Let's get rid of some background music. Let's turn that down a little bit. Let me know if that's made any sort of difference. And we'll just check some of the other scenes here in OBS. Okay, we're all using the same music source. We've turned down the background music. Let me know if that has helped. So we're just going to be going through assembling. While I have a bit of a ramble, I am going to see if I can find out what the hotkeys are. Oh, I see down the bottom there. So if we go numpad number 2, we should get an overhead view. Lovely. And number 3 should be our workbench. There we go. It's been a couple of weeks since I've been here in the studio for a live stream. I've forgotten how everything works. Righto. So let's quickly say howdy to everybody who has joined us at this early stage in the stream. Oh, I must figure out my stream elements, my chat bot, and set it up properly. Grendel NZ, always another familiar name. Thank you so much for tuning in. Here we go. Good to be able to watch this, an hour gap before my last meeting of the day. Oh, well, that's great. We'll only be on for about half an hour or so while we quickly assemble some of these models here. Let's get into that while we're introducing people there in the chat. Let's do the 6-inch wall first. So Grendel NZ has joined us. Titan Wargaming is here. How are you? Thank you so much. 2 very regular names that I've seen on pretty much all of the live streams. Thank you so much for joining me. Let's chuck that out. Get rid of that. Okay. Grendel NZ says the background music is still quite loud. And then goes on to say, much better on the music. Okay, great. We don't really need huge, big pumping music going on in the background. But it's nice to have something, just a little something, just to have, some music. And I say that, but I can't hear anything because the music is muted at my end. I can see the sound levels and everything, but I can't actually hear it. So I was going to quickly get some headphones before the stream. So I could pop some music on and, have a little bit of, music playing while I was sitting here building things, but that didn't get organized, didn't have time. So these cuts, if you've been following along on the Friday design nights, these are the City of Ilaria city walls. They're really rough. Let me just zoom in here. They're really rough at this stage. We're still in prototyping. You can see here that the brickwork etching extends over, and we're getting this dotted line here. You can kind of see where it goes, where it's zipping around. Instead of being a nice smooth arc, it's gone because straight from SketchUp, there's extra nodes here. In Illustrator, we call them anchor points. In CorelDRAW, I think they're called nodes. We don't need all these extra nodes. Wherever there's a node, the laser will draw from line to line. So you'll see on some of our older kits, especially on archways, you'll see those dots, those flash points, where the laser's gone rather than drawn a nice big smooth curve. So these are all super rough. But I just wanted to at least get the geometry out of the way, because this issue of scoring and all that sort of stuff generally needs to be redrawn in Illustrator anyway, simply because of how SketchUp exports it and from an optimization perspective, it's better just to redraw some of that in Illustrator. But at the moment, these are just straight out of SketchUp, laid out in Illustrator, sent to job control so the lasers can cut them. We're much better on the music. Wonderful. Titan Wargaming says, I'm good recovering from the spicy cough and finally getting some hobby work done. Well, it's so strange. Last week was terrible. I came in on Wednesday to do the orders because I feel a terrible pressure or a terrible burden from people waiting for orders. If we start getting past the 2-day mark, then, I just imagine people sitting in their room going, fuck Viv, yeah, what, that lazy bastard, ship me my order. And that's far from the truth. Every time I phone somebody whose order might have been sitting around for 3 days or something, sorry about the delay, it's going out today, just thought I'd give you a call, blah, blah, blah. Oh, no, I thought it would go out next week. Nobody cares. So in my mind, I have this terrible situation of everyone sitting around going, Viv sucks. But in reality, it's far from being the case. So I'm hoping you are recovering well from the spicy cough, the good old Rona. I haven't had it. I was very, very ill last week. Came in on Wednesday, like I said, to do the orders. Why have we got 3 of these pieces? Let's go back. There'll only be 2 of these pieces, unless I've pinched one from this kit. It'll still be the same. So I hope you recover well. And I hope you're enjoying some hobby work. When I had a COVID scare at the beginning of all of this, and everyone was like, "Oh fuck! If your nose dribbles, you've got to hide yourself in a bunker." And so when I was had an exposure or was a close contact, I took the time off for tests and all that sort of stuff to come through. And this is super weird. Really? You'd think I'd know how this assembles given I built it. It just seems a bit strange to me. Let's get some glue out. Let's stop naffing about with dry fitting stuff and just get it done. We'll glue it together and see what happens. If we work quick enough, we can pull it apart. So yeah, I haven't had it. It's super strange. I was really, really unwell. I didn't go and see the doctor or anything because, bugger it. I did my rat tests and all that sort of stuff, and I ended up doing 4 of them because everybody says, the rat tests aren't reliable. You got to go get a PCR test, and I couldn't be bothered doing any of that. I just stayed home. Honestly, I'm not in a fantastic place right now, and the last thing I wanted to do was go traipsing around. I just thought, bugger it, I'll just stay home and just ride things out. And slowly started feeling better. And then Sunday rolled around and I was feeling quite well. So back in the studio this week, back at the work desk for another Workshop Wednesday. Thank you so much if you're just tuning in, if you're just joining me. We are sitting here at the workbench assembling some of these City of Ilaria city wall kits, which are been long overdue. Gwendolyn Z, it says, is the Friday night stream still on? I will be streaming again this Friday. I think I missed last Friday. I don't think I put up an announcement that I wasn't going to stream. Again, I'm either sitting here freaking out that everybody is thinking about what I'm doing and why I haven't shipped their order, or that nobody cares and there's no point putting up a notice that I'm not going to be streaming because nobody tunes in or cares anyway. which is far from the truth. As I said, as we went through in the beginning, there's some very familiar names here, and I thank you so much for joining me. So yeah, I didn't stream last Friday. I just didn't want to do it. I wasn't feeling well, and even now I'm still not feeling fantastic. I've got a headache. I'm still getting hot and cold sort of flushes and stuff, but the cough's gone. Nose is still a little bit runny, but I'm feeling much better. Oh boy. So is the Friday night stream still on? Yes, indeed. Most certainly. It is great fun to sit down at home. It's nice and comfortable there. Obviously, I love being in the studio, but I love being at home even more. because that's where my daughter is. And if I can spend some time with those guys in the evenings doing things, then I'll definitely do that. And for those people who've tuned in on the Friday night streams, my design night on Friday nights, you would be very well aware that my daughter Charlotte loves to hang out in the games room here on the street. So there's no way I could stop doing it. It wouldn't be nice. Let's jump down here onto the desk. So there is an extra wall. I've got a feeling this extra wall piece is coming from this kit that's over on the side there. I'm not expecting too many issues with these models. They are, after all, the reskinned versions of the City of Ilaria. The Nasain city walls. And if I was a little bit more organized, or I wasn't in the middle of gluing things, I'd chuck up a couple of pictures on the screen, which we might do in a minute, just so we can see those city walls. Because these ones for the City of Ilaria are simply those same kits with the details and stuff reskinned. It's an interesting kit, this one, because this plate here, it doesn't actually connect. Pop it back out. We're going to destroy the whole model now. Let's just destroy the whole model. It's interesting, this one, because, let's put this back together. It only plugs into the front facade. There's nothing on the back side here plugging in. And that's specifically because when this plate goes on, there's no tab popping up from the underneath. But what that means, and when you're assembling these, whether you're doing this kit when it's released in a couple of weeks, or the Nasain City Walls, if for some reason you're watching this, after the fact, that you just need to be aware that the model won't square itself. You can see here, I can push this top layer over and it doesn't connect to the wall underneath. So it is entirely possible for me to glue this kit askew. So when you're doing this, just make sure that these back parts line up and it's square. Keep an eye on it as your glue is setting, because the last thing you want to have to do is have a model that looks like Scott assembled it and it's slipped and dried. So just keep an eye on it while you're doing that. Titan Wargaming says, you are your worst critic. I am. I think everyone is their worst critic. Obviously, that's a saying. But I am hypercritical sometimes. And, we all know, yes, my mental health at the moment is not fantastic, and I spend a lot of time inside my head, and that is the worst place to spend time. Why? Does that not fit? I know why it doesn't fit, because there should be a piece that goes in first. So I am. In total, 5 of us got it, says Titan Wargaming. Holy cow. My fiance didn't do too well, but she's recovering and all the kids have breezed through. Well, I'm glad the kids have breezed through it. We've been so lucky. There's been cases at our school, at Charlotte's school, on our street with our neighbours, and we just haven't seemed to, obviously, the percentages of people who are getting this virus in comparison to the population is absolutely tiny. Anyway. Chrome Dog joins us in the chat. How are you, Chrome Dog? Thank you for tuning in. I'm well. I hope your week is going amazing so far. Midweek, it's Wednesday. It's great to be back here at the workshop. I have been assembling a few other things. There's other kits and stuff milling around the place. If we had a roaming camera, there's no roaming cameras going at the moment, but we have fished out. Get a roaming camera? Try and work one out. Can't be bothered. There's so many phones here now for streaming, which is great, but I haven't set any of them up. This is going to go on the inside here. Okay, so this model works perfectly fine. So thank you, Chrome Dog, for tuning in. I will, as I was watching some stream the other day. Oh, yes. I've been playing a lot of Star Citizen. And if you're familiar with Star Citizen or followed the game at all, there's It is a whole adventure in itself, the development of that game. Anyway, I backed that game in 2013. Right back at the beginning, I spent $700 on ships and never played it once until just the other day. And I thought I'd tune in and find out what's happening with Star Citizen. And I think I tuned in at the perfect time. The patch 3.17 has just been released, and it's enabled and improved a whole bunch of gameplay aspects that those people who have been playing since the beginning, since it was just very a simple hangar and it is still full of bugs and all that sort of stuff. I've only just joined, and it seems to be at the perfect time. I've been playing a lot of that, and when I was watching a stream from somebody who streams Star Citizen content, he was very, very good, very on the ball. I don't know how he was playing the game and responding to the chat. I, on the other hand, have all the time in the world to keep an eye on the chat and respond to people's comments as soon as they pop up, but I don't, because I ramble and like the sound of my own voice, and very much do like the sound of my own voice. I need to get better at being on with the chat, because I've noticed sometimes that people will post a comment and then I won't come back to the chat for 10 minutes, and then that comment will go past and I've either forgotten what that comment was about, or that person might have already moved on because with the rest of their day or whatever. So I must make sure that I can update the chat more frequently. Brenda LNZ says the Friday night stream is a good one for the late night end for me. For a late night end for me. It's 11 p.m. for me. So it's a good thing to listen to as I get ready for turn in. Just understand not always being up for it. It is something that I do need to try to be a little bit more consistent with as we move forward, and that's what I'm trying. That's what the whole one a day project is about. Although the last one just fell by the wayside. I think I mentioned this last time we streamed. I must put an article up and just wrap up that 30 days of articles. I did 17 days of it, and then I crapped out. But I do need to be a little bit more consistent. What's the time? It's 2:20. We don't have a lot of time, although we shouldn't need it for these models. They're relatively simple. That's the 6-inch wall dumb. So no problems with this kit. All goes together fine. Can't see any issues with it. Outside of optimization, which is everything will go into optimization at the same time. So we'll do prototyping. At the moment, the only two kits that I've got cut today are the 6-inch wall and the 12-inch wall. The more complicated ones, the gatehouse, if you followed in with design night, we finished off the gatehouse, or we decided to use the original gatehouse, which was already finished and ready to go for prototyping. Those I haven't cut, so maybe we'll do those later on. Right now, everything is just still very much in prototyping. Myrtle23 is here in the chat. How are you? Thank you so much for joining us. Received my Old Town order the other week. Many hours of fun building and painting. Thanks, Viv. It's so good. I really do have. It is so wonderful to hear from people. When they get their order, if they've assembled their kits, every time I see an email like this, I'm like, fuck, what's happened now? Okay, here's a classic example. Is this going to be good news or bad news? And 99% of the time, it's always good news. So I'm glad that you got your kits, Myrtle23. Thank you so much. Here is an example, and you can see it in the brickwork here. So if you are following along on design night and getting a deeper understanding of my pipeline and my workflow here, and you're wanting to do the same, here are some things that you just need to be aware of. So you can see here in this top line here, you can see there's a flash point here. These are all extra nodes, or in Illustrator they'll be called anchor points. These are all extra anchor points which we don't need in our artwork, and it creates this unsightly finish. Obviously a lot of this disappears once you paint it. You can also see the issue here with the arch. It's not a smooth arch. There's so many anchor points here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 anchor points on that curve. Rather than it actually being a true curve, it's just a bunch of straight lines. So something just to be aware of, and you can see it. All of that will get cleaned up and fixed up after prototyping assembly has been done. I do an assembly pass for the geometry, just make sure everything works. It should, obviously, it's been designed digitally in 3D, so there's no reason why things shouldn't fit. But, you know, sometimes things just don't work for some reason, or I modify something, or something gets changed in Illustrator, or for some reason, you just need to double check. So I do a first pass for the geometry, make sure that everything fits, and then we'll go ahead and lay everything up for production, and that includes an optimization pass where we look through the prototype model that's been assembled and go, where can we make improvements to this? Again, there's more excess anchor points on this brickwork down here. We just don't need it. You can see it's replicated everywhere. So all of that stuff will happen next. Titan Wargame says, oh, I'm so going to mess that up when I make them. I'm assuming you're talking about the anchor points. Or were you talking about the assembly of the wall piece here? I didn't want to, I didn't want to tab into this piece. That way, it's unobstructed along here. You don't have a tab or something popping through that just looks weird. As long as you're aware just to make sure that these corner bits are aligned. It's autofocus, it drives me crazy. Jolt Games is popped up in the chat. Hello, Lewis, how are you? Long time no see. I haven't been to Canberra, obviously, for years because of the old Rona. Canberra is where we have two of our very big conventions. CanCon, which is Australia's largest tabletop gaming convention, outside of PAX. If you could call PAX a tabletop convention, I'd call it a gaming convention. But tabletop specific, CanCon happens every year in Canberra around the Australia Day weekend, so late January. 3 days of gaming there in the Epic Centre in Canberra, which is entirely apt and appropriate because CanCon is a fairly epic event. It's huge. It's 3 massive pavilions, and Jolt Games are right there in Mitchell. So if you're here in Canberra, go check out Lewis's store in Mitchell, Jolt Games. An amazing gaming space. I saw some posts from him the other day on Facebook saying that the shop was packed. Not a spare table in the joint, which was great. So congratulations, Lewis. Thanks for joining me in the chat. Sup, Viv? Hope you're doing well, mate. You have any plans to do Western Terrain? Have a few people playing Dead Man's Hand and Legends of the Old West. Well, they're both very, very good games. I prefer Legends of the Old West, and for those people who aren't familiar with Legends of the Old West, it's a part of the old Warhammer Historicals range. And for those people who don't remember Warhammer Historicals, then you missed out on a classic period of Games Workshop's history. You can still find the books. They are expensive. Anything from Warhammer Historicals is generally expensive because obviously it's a long time out of production, and they are still very much sought after. Legends of the Old West plays very much like Middle-earth strategy battle game. It uses very similar mechanics. Obviously there's slight differences, but many of the same similarities. So if you're an MESBG player, then you'll be familiar with in the way rolls for shooting and all that sort of stuff. Legends of the Old West is the same. It tacks on the progression system from Mordheim. And so you end up with, these super cool crews running around, the badass cowboys and, Pinkerton detectives and all this sort of stuff. They have this wonderful history, this wonderful story. My friend Adam Rogers from Greenleaf Terrain, you should check them out on YouTube and his Facebook page. Adam does amazing commission work, all hand built and beautiful stuff. He's based in Canada. When he spent some time here in Melbourne, he actually stayed at my previous shop, my previous retail store. Had some accommodation attached to it, and so Adam stayed with me for a little while, and we played a lot of Legends of the Old West. And one of his crew it became infamous, and I think will live on in infamy when I get around to. I will answer your question in a minute, Lewis. Actually, I'll answer it now, just in case you're busy, because I know that you're probably at work. Yes, I do want to do some Wild West terrain. It was actually the first range of terrain that we started working on, because at that stage, you know, Scott and I were still keen to go, yeah, let's play some more Legends of the Old West. You know, I've got this laser cutter. This was before Knights of Dice actually properly started, you know, with a big lasers and all that sort of stuff. So we started working on some Lord of the Rings stuff, and then that just fell by the wayside real quick. So yes, Lewis, I do have plans to do some Wild West terrain, but my plans are, my process for planning is, this is a cool idea I'd like to do. Let me write it down in 4 different places. Let me update 2 of them, forget about the other 2. And then after 6 months, I'll think about doing that item and then create 4 more lists about that item because I don't remember what to do with the other ones. Plan achieved. I would like to do some Wild West terrain. Am I planning to do it? No, I don't plan to do anything. I just get up and go, okay, what's happening? Am I going to make a plan? No. Is it going to happen at some stage? Yes. Bit by bit, bit by bit. Let's get this range done. The City of Alaria city walls. Then we want to get this range done. Where is it? If we had a roaming camera, we could go find it. I don't know, it's probably packed away. I've got a set of modular ruins for the 40K players that are a little bit more elaborate and a whole bunch more flexible than, you know, the simple tees that everyone sees. Even though these are simple tees, they're slightly configurable and they're modifiable, and so I'll do those next. And then once that's done, let's put this in here. We can glue this in right now. We don't need to wait. I haven't got, aha, we have discovered the problem. Okay, so this is, you know, this is why we prototype, right? Even though everything is being designed digitally, it should all assemble perfectly fine. You can see here on this trim piece here, this is a 3mm piece of MDF. It just adds a 3rd layer of detail to the city wall here, so you know you've got some depth. It has its individual brickwork lined out, whereas this piece here, which is supposed to go on the 12-inch tower, it doesn't have those lines. So either I've not put them into Illustrator or I've done something. Anyway, so that's something I need to check. So I don't think we'll glue this piece on yet because I don't want to glue this on and have it to be the wrong piece. So we'll just keep that to the side. And we'll just keep that to the side so we know that we need to do something about that piece. So go check out Jolt Games. If you're in Canberra, go check out Lewis's store and go play some MESBG or some 40K or some Lord of the Rings, or, you know, pick up your next booster pack for Magic the Gathering or whatever. Lewis has got a great store, and you know, I can't wait to get back there at some stage when we can start getting back out to more regular events. Thanks for tuning in, Lewis. It's great to see you, mate. Hope you're keeping well. Titan Wargaming says, I won't keep it square. Right. He was talking about the walls. I won't keep it square, but now that I know I can try to use some of the MDF scrap, I have to keep it square. What's the time? 2:30. All right, we got to boot off at about 3, which is fine actually. We want to do 1-hour streams on Wednesday, and that'll be the hour. I've still got a handful of packages to process that'll go out in the mail today, so I want to make sure that I get those done. Most of those actually came in today, and they're going out today, which is exactly what I like to see. As much as I carry on about there being delays and all that sort of stuff, those delays are matters of days, a day. I probably shouldn't carry on about it because, unlike my brain believes, people just aren't sitting around waiting. It's this piece. People aren't just sitting around waiting for me. What is this? Game says is good. That's excellent. Lol, the joys of running a business, mate. Plenty of ideas, no time to execute. Yeah, exactly. You know, you're always so busy working in your business that it's very difficult to work on it. That makes sense. And to small business operators, that will make sense. You never get time to work on your business. You don't have time to work in it, but yep, there's that piece. And we got an extra piece here. I don't know what this is from. You know what I think this might be from? I think I might have mentioned it during the design night streams when I saw this piece. I don't need this piece. What I think this is from, bear with me for just a second. So if you just joined me, thank you so much for tuning in. Wednesdays is when we get a chance to sit down in the workshop and play around with prototypes and spend a little bit of time at the design bench. And it gives me a chance to sit down and have a chat and catch up with you guys and, you know, spend a little bit of time communicating. So this wall, this is how messed up some files can be sometimes. This wall, which I pulled out of the Nasayin City wall kits, actually comes from this model here, which is you can see there's one of the exterior walls, and the interior wall is very similar. It's got the buttresses on it. This was a concept model, designed in 15 minutes, cut and then quickly assembled as a proof of concept for the city wall sections. And as you can see, we got rid of the buttresses and stuff. And so I think that's where this piece is from. And because I never really known what it is, it just stays there on the file and keeps getting moved around and has found its way from the prototype to the 12-inch Nasayin City wall kit to the 12-inch City of Ilaria City wall kit. So again, we put that to the side and now we know I can delete that. And I will make a quick note on this one. I'll just write delete on it, so I know that I can delete that. And then this one here needs its line work. So even though we do design digitally now, these sorts of things still happen, which is why we prototype. And then we'll do 2 or 3 different assembly passes to make sure that everything is assembling correctly. And as I go through the iterations of the improvements and the updates and the changes, that those are all translating through correctly. So this will be our first prototype assembly, which is why I'm not gluing this on, because I can update this, then glue the updated one on and have a completed model that can be painted and added to the studio's collection. Walkabout Games has joined us in the chat. How are you? Thank you so much for tuning in. It's great to see you. I hope you're keeping well. Hello, Viv, he says. It is another wonderful Wednesday. It is a club night tonight. I don't think I will be going, sadly, to the club. It'll be my 3rd week that I've missed. I don't normally play a lot of games at the Axes and Ales Gaming Club, and if you're here in Melbourne, Melbourne's in the north, hit up the Axes and Ales group on Facebook, Axes and Ales Gaming Club. We meet every Wednesday. Actually, what days do we meet? It's Wednesday. Every Wednesday at the Thornbury Bowls Club. We'd love to see you. Everyone is welcome. War Gaming says, a while ago, I came up with some ideas. A steampunk / Western coal mining town. I keep getting distracted. That's been mentioned to me a few times about a Wild West steampunk, specifically from the people into Malifaux, which used to be huge here in Melbourne. Like when I had my store and we used to have regular events and all that sort of stuff, and then it's slowly died off for a whole bunch of different sorts of reasons. Obviously, more recently, I think there's a new edition that's been postponed because of coronavirus or something, 3rd edition. I think they're in 2.5 right now for Malifaux. And so over the years, people have said to me, you should do some Wild West sort of steampunk stuff. And the answer was always, we'll do some Wild West stuff and then create some sci-fi or steampunk sort of plugins for people to, attach to those models. So I don't have to have 2 very similar ranges. One that's Wild West, and the other one that's Steampunk Wild West. I'll just have the Wild West with the steampunk elements. So we'll see how we go, you know. Again, it takes me a long time these days to get anything done. So at some stage we'll see. That'd be cool to have. Maybe, you know, once I've done the Wild West terrain for Lewis over at Jolt Games in Canberra, hit him up, they're in Mitchell. Maybe I'll do the steampunk settings. Really uneventful day. It looks good to me. Outside of this trim detail needing to be updated. Everything assembles correctly, and outside of all the brickwork and the arches and all that sort of stuff being redrawn in Illustrator, the assembly works fine. I just need to update this one piece. Walkabout says, I'm great, mate. It's still Tuesday here in Western Canada. Well, I can't unfortunately tell you what's happening in the future. I wish I could. That'd be absolutely amazing. Let's go back up a little bit. Keeps going. Democratically elected Republican players. Democratically elected Republican players. The good old guys from Derp down in Tassie are here in the chat with us. Looking good, Viv. We'll have to get some more stuff to do up from you soon. Well, your support over the many years has been massively appreciated. Thank you so much for the work that you guys do down there in Tassie. Your local gaming community is fantastic. Hit them up on Facebook. Democratically elected Republican players. You can look through the chat, the name, search them up on Facebook. The terrain articles and stuff from those guys are, you know, next level gorgeous stuff. Grendelin says, good old on the business versus in the business. I deal with that all day. It's called the red, black, blue model. I'm already confused. Red equals admin, blue is in, and black is on. You minimize the red and make sure you do some black. You minimize the red, minimize your admin. I do that just simply by not doing it. Problem solved. Until the end of the month, when people come chase me, say, oh, Viv, you haven't done this, you haven't done this, you need to update this, you got to finish reconciling this, don't forget to lodge your BAS, don't forget to pay the tax office. Oh, fuck. So then it's 48 hours of admin compressed into 48 hours. Blue is in, and you're working in your business, the day-to-day activities. Like this, cutting kits, packing orders, processing and sending them out. And black is on. You're working on your business, sitting down, strategizing, thinking about how you're going to grow and, you know, develop your business. You minimize the red, make sure you do some black. That's it. I just wanted today to get these two models done. These are the first two models. This one's here in the city walls section, or the city walls for City of Ilaria. This is something just to be aware of. It's not going to bother most people, but right now it's bothering me. Is you can see at the top here, it's nicely joined, right? Except it flanges out a little bit towards the end. And then as we go down the wall, it separates even further. That's because on this piece here, this facade piece, which is tabbed at the top behind this trim here, but not at the bottom, has slipped over about 0.5 millimeter. And so now when it's up against the other model, it looks like the wall is further apart, because it is. It's such a small issue. Such a small issue. I'm not going to worry about it. That's fine. That's fine. Billy is here in the chat. He's just joined us. Hey, bud. How are you, Billy? I hope you're okay. Billy works here at Preach Vapor, which rent out the front room here in the studio. My good friend Irish has been here for a few months now with his vape store, Preach Vapor. And if you're here in Melbourne and you want an amazing and informative and reliable source for all your vaping needs, go hit up Preach Vapor. As I'm sitting here and I hear Irish and Billy and stuff talking to their customers, the amount of knowledge that these guys have about vaping is phenomenal. So hit up Preach Vapor if you need anything. I hope you're feeling well, Billy. Irish mentioned that you might have coronavirus. I'm glad I wasn't here on Monday. I popped in for the few hours in the morning. I wasn't feeling well, so I went home early. I'm glad I didn't hang around for the whole day. Brenda Lenz says, I delegate the red as much as possible to staff, and I'm training and recruiting new staff to do more of the blue for me. I focus on the black, the high level. I'm kind of in the opposite position now. It's just me now. This is part of the reason why the admin, especially the accounts, I keep on delaying and delaying, because up until recently, I've never done the accounts. I've always had accountants and bookkeepers. And if I need anything, I just, Harsha, where do I find this? Kim, can you organize this for me? But now I have to do it myself. I'm not a great person at doing things. I'm very much good at the black. That's where I like to roll around. I do like the blue, doing things, but I don't have the people anymore. It's me. I delegate to myself. Scott Reed has joined us. This is a whole stream of just pimping other people. Please, thank you so much for your support. I love it. I couldn't be here without you guys, so please do buy stuff from me. But in the meantime, go check out my old mate, Scott Reed from Tired World Studios. Ex-Knights of Dice designer, responsible for all the amazing stuff here. Scott's done an amazing job for me. I could never be thankful enough to him. Go check out his Tired World Studios. Amazing 3D work that he's doing. He says, align everything nicely. Campaign Terrain, how are you? Thank you. I was chatting with you earlier today on Discord. Don't forget, you can hit up my Discord. I don't hang out there. I don't post anything there, but Discord seems to be a thing. Kind of like the YouTube algorithm. I don't know fucking anything about it, but apparently it's a thing, and I have it. So go check out my Discord. I should probably spend some time there. Anyway, chatting with Campaign Terrain. Thanks for joining me on the stream. Thanks for taking a chance to pop up into the comments. Whilst we're here, I've just noticed there's 10 likes. If you haven't liked the video yet, click the like button. It doesn't take anything away from you, but apparently it fucking helps the algorithm. Oh, that stream bot. Look at that. The stream elements, the chat bot. A cheap bastard only buys milk when it's 50% off. The like button is free, and we don't sell milk. Clicking it helps more than you know. Helps more than I know, but I don't know what it's supposed to do. But everyone who's got a big channel says, it helps the algorithm. So let's appease the algorithm gods. And that's it. Matthew Selleck says, hey Viv, do you have any specific fantasy type ranges in the works? Not really. There's a whole bunch of different sorts of bits and pieces that have been worked on over the years that I'd like to resurrect. Probably the closest of those to a fantasy setting would be the reskinned Rohan buildings. Don't know what they'll be called when we release those. If I release those. At the moment, no, not really. Very much in a treading water phase as I just wrap things up and tie together loose ends. Slowly do things around the studio. The renos that I was talking about in December last year haven't even started. Well, they have, but it's a very vastly different plan than it was going to be. There's so many things up in the air. I think that's about it. What time? 10 to 3. Matthew said, well then, we should talk. Very happy to. Have you got some fantasy type models that you want to sell to me? I'd be happy to have a look. Or otherwise, if you're interested in those Rohan models, those were supposed to be done 2 years ago. So there's so many things. So many bits and pieces, you know, as I go through them, you know, we'll put them to bed. Like this city walls we were talking about, not last Friday because I didn't stream, the Friday before that on design night. If you know, put aside a little bit of time on Friday nights, 9 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, stream for a couple of hours, and sitting down at home in front of my computer there, working either in SketchUp or Illustrator. Every now and then I might watch some videos on YouTube and react to what other people are doing out there in the community. Come and join me on Friday nights. Derp says, we should definitely set some time to hang out in Discord. Happy to share how we paint and texture your kits. Honestly, I swear to God, if you just do one thing today, jump on Facebook, go search up the democratically elected Republic of Players. Because those guys down there in Tassie are next level terrain gods. Obviously, I follow them, and then they're specifically, I assume, more interested in the World War II, historical gaming, you know, bolt action and all that sort of stuff. And the terrain that they have for their events down there is just gorgeous. Absolutely, you know, well worth having a look. Actually, well, we got a couple of minutes. Where's the mouse? 10 minutes. Okay, well, let's quickly, let's quickly. What are we doing? Forgotten already. Let's just quickly jump on here. We'll see. We're going to try and do this live because it's not set up, and let's just do it real rough. I don't think there's anything on here. Let's quickly pop. Let's just. What are we doing, Viv? What am I doing this for? This is super rough. I wanted to quickly show you here on Facebook. There's a save feature, right? Saved posts. I put up an article about this. And you can save things. You can have different sorts of collections. So I've started growing my World War II collection, Mordheim, Terrain Inspiration. I've got loads of stuff. This is where I normally put all my stuff, Terrain Inspiration. And it's just a folder full of all the cool posts that I see. And so I flagged them and saved them. This one here, back in April. These are some 3D printed STLs, which you know, grinds my gears a little bit. But you know, I've got to keep up, right? You know, I can't expect, you know, I can't expect people to you know, just not embrace new technology. I really should do the same thing. And so, you know, this save feature here is just phenomenal. You know, there's so many cool things on Facebook, and unless you're keeping track of them, so I might do some of this on Friday night streams. All designed and laser cut by myself. How dare you? How very dare you? Like this cool little skiff thing. Anyway, so I might do some more of that on Friday nights while I'm sitting down designing. Is just going through some of this cool stuff that I've seen on Facebook and saved. Because there's some absolute gold there. There's some absolute. All right, it's almost 3 o'clock. I've got to finish up here. And oh yeah, just quickly coming back to that chat, Derp, hanging out in Discord. That is one thing that I've never really done a lot of, and I think it's amazing that they have that function, and it would be so good. So that, you know, yes, I'm streaming here on a Wednesday, but I do spend time here at other times. I can jump into Discord, right? And you know, if someone else pops along in Discord, well, I'll be sitting there. It's also a great place to organize, you know, meetups and hangouts and all that sort of stuff. Excuse me. So I should probably spend a little bit of time to get a little bit more active on Discord and maybe a little less active on Facebook. Grendel NZ says, need to drop off. I'm interviewing a new salesperson in 10 minutes and I should get ready. See you Friday night for the stream. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm going to sign off too. So thank you to everybody else who's tuned in for another Workshop Wednesday. I hope it's been a good midweek break for you while you've had me on in the background while you're doing other things, or sitting down intently paying attention to me gluing together some MDF. I hope it's been a great time. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you this Friday. If you've got some time to come and hang out with me for a couple of hours and get your hobby on, while I continue to get a little bit more design work done, catch up on old projects and outdated ones and long overdue ones, I'll see you on Friday night. Thanks so much for tuning in. Thank you to everyone who participates in the chat. It's absolutely amazing. I really do appreciate it. It keeps these sessions interesting and active. And while I am just essentially talking to myself, at least I'm addressing some of your questions and talking with you guys at the same time. Thank you so much for your support. I couldn't do it without you. Like, comment, share, subscribe, all that ridiculous stuff. I never mentioned that. I don't know why I did. I watch too much YouTube with my daughter in the background. Hey guys, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I'm out. Thanks so much, guys. I don't remember what my hotkey is, so you can look foolish for a little bit while I scroll through my scenes here.